Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together.
Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique together. This is our home. This is our place, and we must improve it so that our children and children will be eternally grateful, thankful for what we have done by laying a solid foundation for them. So it is our duty to do that. I want to welcome you to the hub. I want you to take the time, the liberty to share the live. Share the live, sharing is caring. I will do that at this point in time. All right, so share the live, those on Facebook and YouTube. Those on the radio, I want to welcome you, Vibes 101.3 FM and 106.3 FM. I want to start off tonight by showing you how disingenuous Emlyn Pear is. I mean, she comes in the public domain with this kind of tone, this kind of voice. And if you don't know her too well, you can be easily fooled. So she was speaking about the free tuition policy that the government rolled out. And she was talking about the numbers, making or spreading this misinformation, this propaganda that the numbers is trending downwards, meaning less students are going to TamCC, you have more dropping out and that kind of thing. That is the idea the NNP wants to put out there. But the Honorable David Andrews did a fantastic job to expose these lies, to put in the public domain the figures, the facts. And I love that. I call it a real takedown. All right? So what he did was to outline the statistics at TamCC. So firstly, I want to play for you what Emlyn said. Emlyn Pear on MTV. She was on this program on MTV. So I want to play for you what she said.
Isn't that something that falls good with you?
I'm not seeing where is it given priority. So let's use a social program such as the free tuition program.
Yeah.
Excellent example. That's a wonderful program.
Or the toilet program, or how's it called? It's called something else.
Right, the housing program.
Housing program, yeah.
So the point I'm making is that these are programs generally that existed before. So let's pull out one from the bag that didn't exist before, the free tuition program. Now, you take a policy position that every single child, Dially's child, Campbell's child, right?
Yeah.
You get where I'm going with this. Everyone will receive free tuition. And I have no problem with that if we can afford it. I have no problem. Now, the child who does not have transportation, for example, cannot access this. So it's not surprising that numbers are going down. It's not surprising that a social program that's so important, you underspend
Yeah, and
in an area like that.
there's a concern that it's not extended to private schools as well. Whatever is happening there. The free books program was
Yeah.
one of those
Yeah.
that wasn't
Yeah.
extended to private
Yeah.
institutions.
Well,
So
you know, amazingly, Christopher Diali is sitting with Emlyn Pay, right? And Campbell. Emlyn Pay was a part of the new National Party administration. And it was the new National Party administration that removed the free textbook program from the private schools. So when Christopher Diali made a statement like this, I was wondering, I mean, in other words, he should know who did it. The NDC had the free textbook program for all the schools, private or public, because a child was considered a child under the NDC. When the NNP came in, what they did was to remove the free textbook program from the private schools, because the NNP said, well, if you could send your child to a private school, then you have money. Although everybody paying taxes and it's a social safety net program. You see? But Emlyn is on the table. So Christopher Diali talking about the private schools and use the book as a reference. But TamCC is for every child. So he mixed up the whole thing altogether.
it's not extended to private schools as well.
That numbers are going down. It's not surprising that a social program that's so important, you underspend
Yeah, and
in an area like that.
there's a concern that it's not extended to private schools as well.
Well, what concern? TamCC is the lone college on island. So the students who go to Westmoreland, for example, who go to Beacon or Alpha and all of these schools, when they complete secondary school, they go on to college, right? And it's a lone college. So whoever, don't matter whether they're private or public, once they go to TamCC, it's public. And every child will get the free tuition, meaning their parents do not have to find that $810. So what Christopher Diali is saying is not correct. And maybe he doesn't understand this whole thing. So it's for every child. You could come from a private school or a public school, because remember, that's a tertiary level institution. So NULO, tertiary level, and TamCC. But TamCC is the lone college on island. So Emlyn per se, no wonder the numbers, I think she said the numbers are dropping or something. Let me go back.
Will receive free tuition. And I have no problem with that if we can afford it. I have no problem. Now, the child who does not have transportation, for example, cannot access this. So it's not surprising that numbers are going down.
Right. So that is the part I wanted to stop at. She said, you know, a child who don't have money for transport to go to TamCC cannot access it. But here it is. In an ideal situation, meaning if this free tuition was not there, that parent had to find $810 to pay TamCC for the tuition for that child to go to TamCC. So that $810, they could use that for transportation, because it's a savings right there. And if you have two children or youth or young persons in TamCC, that's $1,600 and what? $20. That's a lot of savings right there. But here it is. She's saying no wonder the numbers are going down at TamCC, but that's not true. So the Honorable David Andrew, he cleared the air on that in the Parliament. He provided facts, and I love that. That is what should be out there. He provided facts. So let me play for you. Well, GBN brought that piece, which was really good.
Madam President, So I look at these figures, and I want to point out this document contains the enrollment and withdrawal numbers from 2019 to 2025. So 2019 to 2020, one school year, 2020 to 21, 2021 to 22, 2022 to 23, 23 to 24, and 24 to 25. And I want to just go through the enrollment figures at TamCC for those years. In 2019 to 2020 was 1,922. In 2020 to 2021, that's before we got into office, was 1,944. In 2021 to 2022, the election year, it was 2,086. In 2022 and 2023, 1,946. In 2023 to 2024, 2,080. In 2024 to 2025, 2,170. Now, I want you to point out that the enrollment is trending upwards based on these figures. It's trending upwards consistently.
Right.
Figures out, because I want the records to be set clear, Madam President. As far as we are concerned, the free tuition policy and our interventions at the level of TamCC so that these young minds can get easier access to continued education is working, because we see that the enrollment is increasing, the dropouts are decreasing, and the students who stay incomplete, which is the third column, continues to increase from 1,669 to 2,057 in 2025. The people on the other side, in the other place, and on the other side of this house, who want to perpetuate these falsehoods must stop it. The Calypsonians will say, them have to stop that.
Yes. So that was good. The Honorable David Andrews there, David Andrew, he put on the table the facts. So Emlyn Pair and the NNP, they're out there spreading misinformation regarding TamCC, regarding the amount of students who are attending TamCC, because the numbers are actually increasing. So he started off by talking about the period 2019 to 2020. And he said 1,922 students were enrolled at that time. Then he looked at 2020 to 2021, because that's the school year. 1,944 students were enrolled during that time. And 2022 to 2023, that is when the NDC introduced the free tuition policy. You saw 2,086 students enrolling, right? And they are completing their courses and graduating. Then he said from 2020 to 2023, to 2024, it moved to 2,080. And 2024 to 2025, to this period, to this time, right? September to now, or August to now, or September to, it depends. All right, TamCC, they normally open a little before the secondary schools and primary schools and so on. So to date, 2,170 students are actually at TamCC. So the numbers continue to increase, and they are completing. So Emlyn Pay out there saying about the numbers are, no wonder the numbers are dropping or getting less or whatever. That's not the case. That is not the case. The facts will show that you have more students attending TamCC now than before. And not only TamCC, but NULO. If you speak to NULO and the rep in NULO, they will tell you that they full up in nearly all the departments and all the different areas. They full up because more people are going back to NULO. More students are going back to TamCC. But the NNPs out there spreading that misinformation because they would sit around people who would not ask them the tough questions. right? Because what Christopher Diali or Campbell should have at least asked is, where is the statistics? You're making this general statement, but where's the facts to back it up? How do we know that what you are saying regarding the numbers is true? Where's the facts? TamCC is accessible, right? If you want to make those claims, put the facts on the table. Because here you have the Honorable David Andrew putting the facts on the table. Yes, he's the Minister of Education. Yes, he would have access to the information. But something like that should be very easy to get from the NNP standpoint. Because, you know, they have their people in different positions still throughout the system. But to be going on different platforms and spreading these lies, this misinformation, I mean, Emlyn Pay and them have to stop that. They have to stop that, right? Lift the bar. Keith Mitchell is no longer there as the leader of your party. He's no longer there as the leader of His Majesty's opposition. You running the show now. Lift the bar, right? If you don't have facts, don't go out there spreading misinformation regarding the program. The free tuition policy is a very good one. At least she admitted it's a good program. It's a good initiative. But to go there and make people believe that the numbers are dropping because people can't, or the students can't pay transport to go to TamCC, that's a joke. Any parent, poor, vulnerable, rich, middle income, would make it their duty to find money for that child that they have attending TamCC. A Grenadian parent would be extremely proud that their daughter or son is attending college, and they would, if they have to work overtime just to get that money to send them to TamCC, they will do it. And that's our Grenadian, that's how our Grenadian parents operate. That's how we have always operated. When it comes to school, when it comes to college, when it comes to secondary school, parents would make it their duty to send their children to school, especially college. So to go there and give people the impression that students are not going to TamCC because they cannot pay transportation, that's a lie. That's a lie from the pit of hell. But that's how the NNP operates. What they do, they go there and they spread misinformation. And if you don't correct it early, it would saturate the minds of people. Because people will be out there thinking, well, what she's saying might be true. But when you get the facts now, you say no, because she speaks so convincing. She could convince you to believe that what she's saying is true, when indeed it's the false information. When indeed it's false information she's disseminating. But that's how the NNP operates. And it scares me because they are not turning that page, you know, the Keith Mitchell era of politics. Because that's how Keith Mitchell operated. But she's no different from Keith Mitchell. She's no different from Keith Mitchell. They're pathological liars. They're chronic liars. They lie for spite. Something like that you're going to lie about. So I was happy when David Andrew cleared that thing up.
Madam President, so I look at these figures and I want to point out this document contains the enrollment and withdrawal numbers from 2019 to 2025. So 2019 to 2020, one school year, 2020 to 21, 2021 to 22, 2022 to 23, 23 to 24, and 24 to 25. And I want to just go through the enrollment figures at TamCC for those years. In 2019 to 2020 was 1,922. In 2020 to 2021, that's before we got into office, was 1,944. In 2021 to 2022, the election year, it was 2,086. In 2022 and 2023, 1,946. In 2023 to 2024, 2,080. In 2024 to 2025, 2,170. Now, I want you to point out that the enrollment is trending upwards based on these figures. It's trending upwards consistently. These figures out because I want the records to be set clear, Madam President. As far as we are concerned, the free tuition policy and our interventions at the level of TamCC so that these young minds can get easier access to continued education is working because we see that the enrollment is increasing, the dropouts are decreasing, and the students who stay and complete, which is the third column, continues to increase from 1,669 to 2,057 in 2025. The people on the other side, in the other place, and on the other side of this house who want to perpetuate these falsehoods must stop it.
Yeah, and I fully agree with him. They need to stop these things because, you see, this is a good program. It's a very good program, and a lot of students are benefiting from the program. The parents do not have to hold their head to get that $810 every school term, right, or every year. And some of them, they're doing 3 years at TamCC. There are some programs that run for 3 years. So, I mean, the savings is significant for the parents. But Emlyn is out there saying these things.
Isn't that something that falls good with you?
I'm not seeing where is it given priority. So let's use a social program such as the what you call it, free tuition program.
Yeah.
Excellent example. That's a wonderful program.
Or the toilet program, or how's it called? It's called something else.
Right, the housing program.
Housing program, yeah.
So the point I'm making is that these are programs generally that existed before. So let's pull out one from the bag that didn't exist before, the free tuition program. Now, you take a policy position that every single child, Dialli's child, Campbell's child, right?
Yeah.
You get where I'm going with this. Everyone will receive free tuition, and I have no problem with that if we can afford it. I have no problem. Now, the child who does not have transportation, for example, cannot access this. So it's not surprising that numbers are going down. It's not surprising that a social program that's so important, you underspend
and
in an area like that.
There is a concern that it's not extended to private schools as well. Whatever is happening there. The free books program was one of those that wasn't extended to private institutions. So you get a...
Yeah, so Emlyn is spreading that misinformation because the numbers is trending upwards. But I pity Dialli because he's speaking to Emlyn Pay about the free school book program, right? The free school books during the NDC time. You know, the NDC started that program, the free textbook program, that was the name. And it was for every child. I remember doing a program where a child was considered a child. Because remember, the NNP during the campaign criticized the program to say those who could afford should buy the books and so on. But we all are taxpayers. And you cannot consider this child to be well off and that child not to be, right? No, a child is a child. Not because the parent driving a vehicle, it means they have money. Or not because the parent might be working in a bank, it means that they have money. No. So the NDC had that across the board, and the NNP, when they came into power, they removed the free textbook program from the private schools. They removed it, but Emlyn is on the table sitting there with Christopher Dialli, shaking her head. But it was the NNP who removed it from the private school. And then for the free tuition, every child who goes to TamCC, so even if that child comes from the private school and attends TamCC, that child benefits from the free tuition policy. Because it's not, remember, TamCC is the lone college, right? You come from private school, you come from public school, you're going to TamCC. It's just like you have some students who are going in private school, primary, and when they finish the CPEA exam, they go on to the public school, GBSS, PBC, St. Joseph's Convent, the Anglican High School, the St. David Catholic Secondary, these different schools. They go on to different schools within the area, right? But it's public schools. So I'm saying sometimes these people speak and they believe they fooling people or they tricking people or they bright. They don't bright. They're not smart because we can easily pull this thing apart just listening to them. So for example, when Christopher Diali come in, so
you take a policy position that every single child, Diali's child, Campbell's child, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you see where she's going with that. That is because the NNP's position is if your parent could afford, your parent's supposed to pay for you. They don't see a child as a child. All right? That is the NNP's position. The NNP, if they get into power, they will cut the program. They will cut the program, I'm telling you. They're going to cut the program from TamCC. They're going to remove it so that they're going to give, they're going to segregate them. So, well, that parent could afford. So we're not giving them, but we're giving that child, and that's how they want to go about governing. All right? So let's listen a bit.
You get where I'm going with this. Everyone will receive free tuition, and I have no problem with that if we can afford it. I have no problem. Now, the child who does not have transportation, for example, cannot access this. So it's not surprising that numbers are going down. It's not surprising that a social program that's so important, you underspend.
Yeah, and
in an area like that.
There's a concern that it's not extended to private schools as well. Whatever is happening there. The free books program was one of those that wasn't extended to private institutions. So you get a concern. But I want to shift a little into more politics now. Than,
but just before you shift to politics, because this is critical. Now, another...
Right. So, you see, these people believe that they're smart, but they are not. Because this program, the free tuition policy or program, that is for all students. Once you attending TamCC, your parents do not have to pay the tuition once you attending TamCC. So you could be a child from Guelph, or you could be a child from Grandance. Once you are attending TamCC, they don't have to pay the tuition. It's free. The free textbook program was a program introduced by the NDC for every child in all schools, private or public. When the NNP came into power in 2013, they removed the free textbook program from the private schools because they made it very clear once you're sending your child to a private school, you could afford. And they judge everybody across the board. So they took out that from the private schools because, of course, the NNP, good friends, and so on, they're in the textbook business, right? In the textbook business, and they have to survive. They have to make a money. They have to make a kill, so to speak, when it comes to, selling the books and so. So they remove it from the private schools and they water down the program. So parents used to go in the school, they pay $25, and it's a handling fee, $25, and they would get 8 books, 9 books, 10 books for their child. But every year, the NNP, they were not replacing them. They were not adding. They were not buying new books. They were not replacing those that didn't come back in and so on. So the condition, you could just imagine, some of the books. So they start to water down the program. So then when the parents go back the next year and the next year, they got less books and less books and less books. And that was deliberate. So they had to go to the bookstore and buy the others. And you know, books not cheap. Books not cheap. So the NDC introduced that program across the board. The free tuition is the same thing across the board for every child who attending NULO and who attending TamCC. But what the NNP wants to do is to segregate our children. It's to say, well, your parent or parents, they working day and working day, they could afford, right? Or they driving this nice car, they could afford. That is what they want. So they would determine who could afford and who cannot afford. And many a times, those things does cause a lot of bias on fairness, because you just profile a person and you say what they have. There are parents who walk in their tail out, not because they drive in a car. Many a times the car belongs to the bank or the credit union. Many a times they drowned in with debts because they have to pay their loan, they have to pay their mortgage and that kind of thing. So it's not easy for any parent, especially nowadays, right? So you shouldn't judge them and say, well, they have, because they're sending a child to a private school, they have. No, sometimes they send a child to a private school because they're working in a particular area, and by the time they finish work, they could go into the private school, pick up a child, because they would have extra classes, they would have sessions where they're helping them with their homework and other things like that. They have to pay a little extra, but that's what it is, right? My two daughters, they're in a private school. Does that mean that I have? No, I don't. But I see it as convenient and I see it as important to get them a proper start. I'm not saying that public schools don't give them a proper start, but you have less students in that classroom, one, and then I can relate, I can communicate to the teacher at any given time about my child or my children. You see? So I'm saying it's across, it should be for every child. And that is what the NDC is doing. They're not discriminating, they're not judging that parent or that parent. And that is the NNP's problem. The NNP, they have always segregated this whole thing, all their programs. And that is why they always say it's the poor and the vulnerable, the poor and the vulnerable. Because they categorize their supporters as poor and vulnerable. So everything was going to them. But mind you, all of us pay taxes. We all pay taxes. So it should never be a situation where you decide, well, that parent not getting that free tuition or free textbook, so they have to spend the $810 still. No, it shouldn't be so. So the NDC type of governance is one that's just, one that is fair, one that is equitable. That's what it's supposed to be. But the NNP vex, because if they have anything to do with these programs, they're going to do it, design it in such a way just to feed their supporters, to benefit their supporters. That is what they have always done. Look at when Keith Mitchell said he feel he blacking out. His supporters, their supporters, NNP supporters start to clap, start to applaud that. Because why? Education is never a priority for the NNP supporters. Many of them, they cannot read, write, or reason. They cannot think on their own. They cannot analyze things. And the NNP knows that. So they're taking advantage of these people. It's very sad. Very, very, very sad. But education is liberation. Education is empowerment. When you educate yourself, you educate your children. And even if you didn't get a first degree, for example, try your best to make sure that your child or children get a first degree. And look, the NDC is very serious about that. The first generation scholarship, I think I featured that some time back, you know. Was it the first generation scholarship? I think that was generation Ministry of Education Awards is called First Right. You know, sometimes it's good to have a good, kind of repetitious. It's good to have sharp memory, right? Remembering things is key. So first generation. If you're searching for something in the computer, in the archive, you have to know some the keyword, right? So maybe cohort, maybe generation, and you get it easy. So so the government is working on having at least one student or one young person, one person in a household graduate from university. At least you have one university grad in that household. So they're working on that assiduously, diligently.
Out of more than 200 applicants, just over 30 students received the scholarships on Monday to pursue undergraduate degrees in various fields. The recipients began their academic journey in January at Monroe College in the United States, engaging in a combination of online and in-person learning. At a special award ceremony held at the Grenada Trade Center, two recipients expressed their gratitude for the opportunity.
I am elated to be a recipient. This is an opportunity I've been waiting and praying for a long time, so I'm very grateful that I get this opportunity to further my studies.
As a person, I think it would help me to better myself as a young man in the community. It will also give me a drive to push the young men from my community and surrounding communities to be better in life. These days we are seeing a lot of young men getting into violence and stuff, and I feel like I can make a big impact with what I'm doing, and it can change many lives, including mine.
The First Generation Scholarship Program is designed to support young people who will be the first in their families to obtain a university degree. The initiative aims to ensure that each household in Grenada has at least one university graduate. Minister for Education, Senator David Andrew, highlighted the significance of the program.
You are being given these wings to fly and to soar into new realms, into new domains. And guess what? The changes that you will create is not just for your generation, but it has a multiplier effect in that it will affect generations to come.
President of Monroe College, Mark Jerome, reaffirmed the university's commitment to working with the government of Grenada to provide educational opportunities for young Grenadians.
Yeah, my good friend, as my good friend in the back there, Yeah, that's my good friend in the back there, in the background, right? And congratulations to you, because I understand you're now employed with the Ministry of Education. Thumbs up to you, yes.
New domains.
Right.
And guess what? The changes that you will create is not just for your generation, but it has a multiplier effect in that it will affect generations to come.
President of Monroe.
Yeah, that's my good party side here, man. Yeah, that's there, man. That's a Sheila, yes. That's a Sheila here. Congratulations to you, and I wish you all the best. All right, that's all right in the background. There, I don't know what is our position in the Ministry of Education, but congratulations and thumbs up there, right? So, folks, yeah, so the government is trying its best to see how they can impact positively every household. So at least having one person, at least you could have two or three, but at least one person with a university degree in that household, it's a good thing. I remember during the NDC time in office as the previous NDC, there was this move to get the teachers qualified with at least a first or second degree, because they realize the students are coming smarter, they're more tech savvy, they understand things, that the teacher or teachers were a bit, slow on. So government assisted a number of teachers, giving them the incentive and, making sure that they can access the university and get the assistance needed to go on to university. So a lot of teachers took advantage of that and get their second degree, their master's degree in education or, in different areas, right? Which is really, really great. But again, that was NDC in power. This time around, the NDC, again, helping at least one child from households without university grads, right, to get a university degree and change. Because remember, once you have a person in that house with a first degree at least, everything changes in the house. The conversation, the dinner table, the breakfast table, everything changes. And that is how you build a nation. That's how you transform a country. So this is excellent. This is good. So the NDC, they've always led. They've always done things that is transformative, that will have a long-term impact. And the Honorable David Andrew said it best there. It's not just going to impact you. It's not just going to impact the student or the young person who will be getting a degree, but that person will be breaking the cycle. Because when you are a university grad, you're more likely to help your children to go all the way up to university in terms of education, the level. Because you're going to encourage them to go all the way, support them and encourage them to go all the way up. And you may even want them to attain more than you, to move to a second degree or third degree, which is really good. So look, the NDC is trying its best to help our people, to transform our people. All right. Also, the minister spoke about the education sector, and he's pleased with the allocations and so on given to the Ministry of Education.
The government of Grenada has allocated $183.4 million to the education sector. Minister for Education, Senator the Honorable David Andrew, in his budget presentation on March 20th, focused on the work accomplished as well as what will be continuing in 2025. Along with the construction of new schools, there will be smart classrooms and centers of excellence to expand on the area skills development in the country.
We are currently reviewing the early childhood education policy because we recognize that if we get it right at early childhood, if we get the correct stimulation, if we get the correct phonetic skills, if we get the correct attitudes from early, the correct values from early, we would have less fight up to do, less programs to make, less fly, and less roach, and less crocodile.
Senator the Honorable David Andrew, in his budget presentation in the Senate on Thursday, passionately delivered the plans of his government in continuing to equip the nation's students for the future. Making mention to the recent World Bank report, Senator Andrew said that they are aware of the issues with the education system and noted his government's plans to address the low scores in mathematics among students in the country.
Recognizing the challenges in mathematics and the performances there, the ministry will host a national math symposium. Currently, we are conducting research, analyzing all and assessing all of the math performances over the years. We have engaged one of our research officers, Dr. Martin, and he is collating the information to inform what we do, how we prepare, and then we'll go to the public, we'll go to you. We will come to persons who are retired math professors, persons who are retired math teachers, persons who have interest, persons from the diaspora, and we will begin to shape that conversation around mathematics, what we do, how we address it, because this is a national concern. It's not just for the Ministry of Education. Shaping the best practices, that is likely, is going to come. So the math, an entire math strategy is going to be prepared. You can expect that with a number of different interventions, from early intervention and interactive softwares to training of teachers to specialized teaching of mathematics at the primary level, so that only persons who have genuine competence in mathematics will teach mathematics throughout the primary school. As is, in several schools, one teacher teaches everything, and sometimes even if they don't have competency in math, they are still forced to do it, or they're still made to do it. That needs to change. It's currently being reviewed, and we will address that, hopefully, for the coming school year, including math labs, additional training, all of these things you can expect.
Skills development continues to be an area that the government aims to expand upon so that all the nation's children are prepared for the world of work. Government is allocating $9 million for 4 centers of excellence that will focus on hospitality, agriculture, marine and fisheries, and furniture making.
So plans for 2025, as is budgeted for, to institute a skills training committee to further develop TVET pathways and monitor the progress towards planned outcomes. That is on the cards. To establish 4 centers of excellence, and that is part of our plan, Madam President, to address the shortfalls in the products of the education system and the requirements, the needs of the world of work. Those centers are being targeted: tourism and hospitality. And let me say, we've already engaged the stakeholders in the industry.
The ministry has allocated $700,000 for a creation and production animation center, which is expected to enhance learning. Additionally, there will be expansion of technology in the classroom.
There's going to be a smarting of several classrooms. In fact, in collaboration with the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, the NTRC, and the Universal Service Fund, the ministry will introduce smart classrooms featuring virtual and augmented reality tools, along with interactive smart boards in 9 schools, 2 primary and 7 secondary, starting in March of 2025. TamCC also benefited from this gesture with the NTRC to have a hybrid telecoms upgrade to classrooms where classes can be streamed. That was done sometime at the ending of last year.
Several new schools will be constructed and others will be expanded during 2025.
Yes, so a lot of work is taking place when it comes to education. And big up your whole self there, the Honorable David Andrew. I shared some information on Facebook because I was going through Facebook and I see my good friend Junior George Worm shared the same thing too, right? Where Grenada is to benefit from UK funding for energy project. So it's about 10 million pounds, right? So Grenada will benefit from that, all right? It's about 10 million pounds, which is really good, all right? 10 million pounds. And then also our beloved Prime Minister was at the Afro Exim Bank, sword turning ceremony, and that official ceremony too, because they're going to build a bank, right? The whole it's like a bank to connect Africa and the Caribbean. But they're building a bank, building that thing. The government of Barbados, they gave them, I think, how much? Is it 8 acres or 4 acres, something like that. All right. So he went there. He actually spoke at the launch of that, or the sword turning ceremony there, which is really good. Kudos to him. He has been instrumental in getting the bank here, all right, in the Caribbean, and setting up shop right here, which is good. The World Bank also, they're conducting some assessments of the solar structures in Carriacou, which is a good thing, with the hope of rolling out some initiatives.
Grenada will soon benefit from the World Bank's Caribbean Efficient Green Energy Buildings project, which will invest in retrofitting public buildings and other facilities with solar systems. It will also include technical assistance to address regulatory and technical constraints, build capacity in the planning, implementation, and operation of these investments in a sustainable manner. A team from the World Bank just concluded a visit to Carriacou to assess the damage caused by Hurricane Beryl in July at the solar PV plant at Limley and the overall landscape to implement other supporting projects. Grenada's investment is valued at US $51.6 million, including loans and grants from various agencies, IDA, and the CDB. World Bank Senior Energy Specialist Anne Pham shared an update on the visit.
Looking at the options, how to repair the damage in these solar farms. We will look at the option and what actually additional work the government may need to I know that there is insurance coverage, there will be additional, I think, from the original contractor, etc. But on top of that, we want to know what else actually the government need, an option, and we discuss option how to help. And also we want to discuss with Green Lake to see any challenges in running the system heavily invested in renewable energy, whether any problem in dispatching energy to ensure the quality of the service, etc. And anything the project can support to improve the operation of the system, the whole system in Carriacou.
Energy specialist Rochelle Johnson said support will be given to the Grenada Electricity Services, GRENLEC, for the installation of utility-scale BESS and transmission system upgrade.
We'll be also improving the regulatory frameworks in the participating countries as well as at the regional level, as well as to increase the capacity where it comes to the use of energy efficient equipment as well as renewable energy. For Grenada specifically, we will be investing in public facilities, so retrofitting with energy efficient equipment as well as distributed solar PV. In addition, the project will also support GRENLEC in terms of doing a utility scale solar PV as well as a battery energy storage system at the Maurice Bishop International Airport.
Technical consultant Agostino Garcia is optimistic the visit to the solar farm will assist in the decision-making process toward improving resilience on the island.
Probably have kind of a double, triple objective. One, to learn with the damages, what happened. We have an unfortunate, fortunate event that gives us two sides of PV plants with very different damages. So we want to see the main reasons why that occurred. And the triple is actually to learn from this in terms of building resilient measures into new projects and the projects that the bank is actually supporting going forward. So as I said, it's very unfortunate this happened. At the same time, it's an opportunity to learn with the errors, with the problems that we might find in the installations, because we want obviously to build on them.
Yes. So I think the last piece there, I think it's over 500 families will benefit. I think that is what the last piece, just the last piece I wanted. I kind of cut it.
Grenada will soon benefit from the World Bank's
in the installations, because we want obviously to build on them.
Over 500 buildings in Grenada, Guyana, and St. Lucia will benefit from the project.
Right, over 500 buildings, because they target in the public buildings, public buildings. So that would cut government costs significantly, which is really good. It's what that particular project. It's what 51 million. I think it's that is what I heard, 51 million. And then the United Kingdom, they're investing in geothermal here in Grenada, and that's about 10 million pounds. 10 million pounds. I don't know how much is 1 pound, 1 quid now. I don't know. It was 3 something still or 4. I want to believe it's about 3 something. All right, I want to believe so. So that's a good 30 to 40 million dollars. EC that Grenada will be getting with that other project. So quite a number of things are happening. We're getting the support from many different fronts, and thanks to the NDC administration and how they're operating, it's you see the governance style is what's attracting international partners to invest significantly in Grenada, right? So someone is saying to me 3.51, all right? So it's roughly around that, a good 35 to 40 million dollars, just like that, easy, all right? That's a good injection, and this government, they're implementing stuff, they're getting stuff done, which is good, which is really, really, really good. So thumbs up and kudos to the government of Grenada. You know, folks, I have noticed something. Every time Kate Lewis, I think she's MP for St. Andrew. Is it Southeast or Northeast? Somewhere around there. Northeast, I think. Anytime she posts something on Facebook or Instagram, it's about Kate Lewis, right? It's about the person. Does she eating some food, or she exercising, or she doing something like that? It's all about us keeping. It's all about Kate Lewis. You never see her post anything where she helping people. In other words, fixing a piece of drain, fixing a house, right? Bringing some stuff to the schools, helping some child or some family member or somebody in the area, some constituent. You know, you never see her with in a photo or video with that kind of stuff. Whenever she put up stuff, because I have been, you know, it would pop up from time to time on social media, and it's all about this woman, and she's an MP, a member of parliament for that constituency. And the question is, what really is she doing to help the people of that constituency? What are some of the creative ways, or what initiative, what project, what program, what has she started as an MP, collecting 10,000 constituency allowance for that constituency? They soon to get a vehicle. Her salary is now up, because I think they bring it up to $5,000. I think she does a little teaching or so in one of those schools. I just can't remember. I don't know if it's Westmoreland or one of those schools. So she does her job besides being an MP for the constituency. So things nice with her. But every time you see Kate Lewis do some posts, it's about Kate Lewis. You know, nothing about the community and nothing about building that constituency and helping somebody. Even if you have to do it like Saraka, not Saraka, they say, right? Like you cook and help somebody to repair their home, their roof, or their veranda, or their room, or something. Nothing like that. It's just about the woman. Every time you see, I mean, people can bear me out on that. And people are actually confirming that every time you see the woman put up something on our social media, it's not like you've seen the Honorable Andy Williams and his crew doing things for people, or the Honorable Ron Redhead, or the Honorable Tevin Andrews, or the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell, and you see, or the Honorable Claudette Joseph, or the Honorable Joseph Andel, the Honorable Lennox Andrews, like Maroon. That's it, Maroon. Yes, Maroon, where you cook and so on, and you fix house and do things. But she's not coming up with no idea, no nothing. But every time you see this woman post something, it's about Kate Lewis showing off where she eating some food, or where she's skipping, or where she exercising, or thing like that. Personal. It's about her. Nothing about the community and the constituency. But that's the type of representation that these people get, because they voted for her, right? I can't remember how the votes pan out, how it worked out in that constituency, but what I can tell you, they have always, in the last many elections, voted for the NNP, because Roland Bola was the MP for that area there too. Archibald was also the MP for that area there too, right? It was Roland, Archibald, I think so. Paul's here, yeah. So they have voted, that constituency have voted regularly for the NNP, because Kate Lewis, she won twice. Roland Bola, I think he won twice, or either twice or three times. Twice, I think, twice or three times, right? And then Archibald, he ran for NNP there too, and he won once. They didn't treat him very nicely too. NNP didn't treat him very nicely. Neither his wife or any of them. All right, I know very well. But I'm saying all of this to say that they have always, maybe about 5 elections, they voted NNP, right? Even when NDC won in 2008, that constituency voted for NNP. Roland Bola was MP in the parliament for that constituency. But if you go through the constituency, you would realize that a lot of work is needed to help the people of that constituency, that particular constituency. So, you're talking about Dunfermline, you're talking about Pulse, you're talking about Upper St. John, Carrier, you're talking about well, I think Pulse is a bigger area, the bigger part, right? It's a big constituency, right? But a lot of work is needed there. Housing, infrastructure, community centers, that kind of thing. Playing fields, and that constituency need a lot. But not because you're a MP on the opposition side, you're Tivoli, Homer, all those areas there. Not because you're MP on the other side, right? Meaning that you're an opposition. It doesn't mean that you can't come up with initiative. You can't work with the private sector. You can't work with people in the diaspora to do things and help the people. You could utilize the same 10,000 constituency allowance to do a project, do something to help people in the constituency. Every time you watch and you see this woman, she's just about Kate Lewis. It's all about Kate Lewis. You're not seeing anything about the community and so on. I noticed that and I thought I should mention that. But she gets $5,000, well, based on what the government announced, that they increase the MP salary. So she should be getting $5,000 a month as a salary. Then she has the 10,000 constituency allowance to do things within the constituency. I just don't know. It's just an observation, right? And she's a bit touchy, When I speak about this, she's going to go and post something or say something. She's going to react with some kind. It's just utter rubbish. It's like a little kid in a candy store. That's how she acts. It comes across that way to me, right? Boy. Folks, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program. I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful evening, all right, or good night. The British, you say good evening when you arrive, but when you're going, you say good night, all right? So good night. So I want to wish you all the best. I'll be back with you tomorrow, God's willing. Yesterday, I had some technical issues here at the studio, so I couldn't come on this morning. So I didn't have a program this morning and yesterday, but we are A-OK now, all right? So thank you for your patience and your tolerance. I want to wish you all the best, and I want to thank all the people who shared the program. We have had about 900 and something people, almost 1,000 people on the live tonight. Fantastic. Our numbers continue to increase. If you've been following the different programs, the different talk show programs and so on, you'll realize that we are leading in terms of numbers. All right. The last program I did, we had 17,100 people viewing that program on Facebook, which is good, which is commendable. All right. The one before that, we had 17,200 people viewing that program. The one before that, we had 17,400 people viewing that program, which is good. So it's consistent, right? So we had 14,100 people, viewing the one before, 16,600 people, 19,000, in other words, and that's just on Facebook. When you add that up with YouTube, because I realize these days we have a good amount of people following the program on YouTube, right? So that too, 3,000 something, 4,000 something on YouTube. That's YouTube. So when you add everything together, a good 20,000 people will be viewing the program on Facebook and YouTube put together on a daily basis. And that's just one of the program. So you do one in the morning, one in the night. And then the radio. So we have a good 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people who listen to the program on the radio, all right, which is really great. So we are reaching our people. We are reaching our people with the message. And when it comes to talk radio, dealing with politics, economics, social issues and so on, it's not very attractive. So the mere fact that consistently our numbers remain high up there, it says a lot. It says that people love the program, people are interested in the program, people want to listen, people want to follow what's going down. It means that it's working. because a person could look at your program once and get turned off and not come back. So your numbers will drop. But when your numbers, continue to remain in a particular, domain, so to speak, a particular area, every time it's 12,000, 13,000, 14,000, 15,000, 16,000, it's always up there. That's just on Facebook alone. It says a lot. It says a lot. A lot of young people are tuned into this program, following this program, listening to the program. I'm eternally grateful to you who view the program, who share the program, who talk about the program. So more and more people get to discover the program and follow it. I'm really, really happy where that is concerned. All right. So I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful night. And I'll be back with you tomorrow, God's willing, starting from 8